welcome to my show. I am very grateful, happy, and excited to have the amazing course creator and business coach, Elmira Strange. How are you?
Thank you for such a nice welcome. Wow, I'm so pleased to hear that. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I'm really pleased to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on. I want to share with everyone right now why you're so special to me for multiple reasons. I did a lot of coursework through your online university and was able to not only learn and heal and grow through it, but also receive accreditation within areas that I have worked through in my life to be able to help people, to coach, to counsel. So I want to thank you for that. And I wanted to acknowledge you for that today because you are such a light and you're also such an interesting person. I see you as living a life of adventure. And that's another reason why I wanted to have you on today, because I want to share some of your story and share what you do for more people to know about you, especially if they're interested in learning the way that I did, to maybe take the knowledge and all that you've brought in your courses, because I know it takes hours of research and hours of learning. And I know you've also worked with incredible people that have helped you along your journey. And so I just thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thanks once again for your kind words and for your kind feedback. But it's very important because this journey of teaching, educating, making courses, making content that you feel that it should be useful to people, it's nothing without feedback. And when you get feedback from people, this is when you realize the value of what you're doing, and that keeps you going. I've started this journey actually as a digital nomad and as a content creator, as an online educator, actually purely online. Before, I used to work at university, teaching at university and mainly doing research psychology. But when I've started working online and creating courses that I feel it will be helpful to people, to coaches, to therapists, and just to general public, this started almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
And sometimes it's a lonely journey because you're recording your courses, you're writing your courses, research takes not hours, it can take weeks. Writing a course can take months, and mostly you're working by yourself. And when you start getting some feedback, this is when you feel that you're on the right path, you're doing something right.
Well, yes. And I see that and I understand that because even with what I'm doing currently, a lot of it isn't in person. So I understand that, I'm here to assist, help, support, and also share vulnerably my story. And I'm doing that a lot more than I ever have. And it's very freeing, but it's also kind of scary at times, and it's the balance of being able to help others but continue to work on your own personal journey of evolution, of growth. And what I wanted to ask you today to start this off is what led you to this realization that it was important for you to help people online? Like, what was it that made you or encouraged you to move in that direction?
It was actually, that's a very good question. It's like how it all started.
Mm-hmm.
I would say there are a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons is that at that time, about 10 years ago, the whole concept of digital nomads just started. So it was a few people who were doing it. And I started looking on YouTube, various people who started on it. And I was thinking, that's a very interesting way of working. You're working for yourself, you're flexible with your work hours. But most importantly, you can reach to so many people around the world when you're online. There are thousands. Do you know, I still cannot believe when I look at one of the schools that I'm teaching through, for example, Udemy, and it says I taught something like over 105,000 people.
I know, yeah.
I cannot imagine. It's like a stadium of people. But I am eternally grateful some of the feedback or some of the emails when I get, and when people say it helped me, for example, to prevent my daughter's suicide, and I had one of those.
Wow.
Thanks to the knowledge that I got from the course that you've created. Or something similar, that it changed my life, it changed my career, or anything like that. This is when I realized that I probably wouldn't be able to reach out to so many people if I stayed in the same place, at the same university. Of course, I would be doing some conferences, but you don't reach so many people. When you're doing it online, it's one of the best. And of course, on a personal note, I was able to spend more time with my friends and family if I wanted to, because I can work anywhere I am. So for the last almost 10 years, I'm changing countries and just traveling a lot. I am a digital nomad at the end of the day. And I feel it also might inspire some people to do that if that's what they want to do, because that's where I was. I craved it so much. I wanted that freedom, and I hope that will help some people to look at what I'm doing and say, if she's doing it, then I can do it too. I can be more freer. So that's one of my aims as well.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's very inspiring to me as well, because I think a lot of us, I'll speak for myself right now, but I'm sure many feel this way, especially through the pandemic. We had a lot more time to kind of sit and reflect and go, what is this life really about? And how can I create positive changes that are going to give me a better quality of life? Certain personalities like yourself and others want the adventure. They want to, like you said, quality times with friends and family, but also quality balance for your own life, right? To be able to work hard, but also play hard at the same time. I know you love to scuba dive. I know you've done that in Egypt, and you're in Mexico now, and you get to work and create. And I know, again, it's hours upon hours, weeks, months to put out what you do, but at least you have the freedom to be able to create your own schedule within that while you're helping thousands of people. And I think that would be very fulfilling. I do understand you said it's lonely at times, but at least that you're not trapped in something. And I think that's what discourages people, is when they feel trapped, like they don't have a choice. What do you feel for you that has led you to the next, I want to say, almost evolution of your spiritual journey? Because I know you help people in business, and you help people with, certain areas within recovery and addiction or abuse, or there's all different topics, but you helped me so much in those areas of learning to be able to help others. But again, if we go through it ourselves, then we can relate to it and then heal through it. So I guess I'm kind of joining questions, but what is it for you that keeps you going? How do you balance and center yourself when you have those days where you feel maybe more alone or discouraged?
Do you know you've touched up on so many topics within one question?
I know.
Incredible. So I'm thinking, like, shall I start with that one or shall I start with that one? Because there is a spiritual journey alongside of it. Right. Definitely, yeah. 100%. Yeah. Which started also about 10, maybe 12 years ago now, when I had a life-saving surgery, and actually I had a Neath Death Experience.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So that was very interesting. It's true. I was in the hospital and I was in a very poorly condition. And I had a bowel problem, which was inflammatory bowel disease, which pretty much almost made me die. So, but the experience which I had, some people might think it's a dream or whatever, but I feel that was true. I was on the other side, and I can tell you briefly about it. So I saw myself as if I'm walking in a white corridor with someone who I presume it's my guide. And so he was walking with me and showing me different rooms on the way. And he was saying, and I could see that there are some people there, or souls, in different rooms. And he said to me, this is where we live. And this is what we do when you're here. And you also teach here too. And I was like, okay. So I teach on the other side also. And then we were walking, and then he was explaining some more stuff. And then we walked towards some doors. And I remember that moment when I felt so happy and so blissful that I've never experienced in this reality like I did there. That was incredible. That was, yeah, it's indescribable what I felt at that moment. And basically after that, the doors opened like in a movie. It was a white, bright light. And then suddenly I'm in the operating room, like after the surgery. And it hit me that where I've just been. And the only thing I say is, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the best present you can give me right now. And it stayed with me, you know, after so many years, after more than 10 years, I still remember it like yesterday. So
Wow.
that was the catalyst probably of the spiritual journey. I've realized truly that we are here for a reason. We're here to help and support each other. This is all temporary journey, but we need to make the best out of it. Whatever we can do, make yourself happy, enjoy life, do the work that you enjoy doing. And the more you give out to people and help people, you know, the happier you feel as well. So this all stayed with me since that day.
Oh, I think you might have mentioned that. Yeah, I think you might have touched on it in one of your courses, but you just reminded me of that. And wow, I forgot about that. And I have not had that experience, but I have met a few other people that have. So I completely get it. It's like the peace, the pure, almost like a joy, but peace feeling, right? And knowing there's more, and then coming back and going, wow, this is a gift. And I think that's what discourages people a lot if they don't have the awareness of this is a temporary experience and is a gift, and we're here for a reason. And every individual soul is beautiful. The journey, and it all connects, probably, I'm assuming, in my perception, all back to where we come from. And so that makes so much sense. It was like, wow, I'm given another chance, right? And now I can co-create the life and the journey that I desire while I'm here, because you know that any given moment it could end again and you could go back to where we come from. And I love that you brought up that you were also teaching on the other side. I think that's really cool.
That was cool because I couldn't have thought of that. I couldn't have just make it up.
Right.
That's what I came back with this knowledge. And also you asked what it is, what I do
Right.
alongside this journey, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking, well, I still would say spirituality does help a lot. Mm-hmm. And if people have any interest in reading some books, which is about mindfulness and just living in the present or anything like that, this all helps. This is a like starting point. You don't have to go deep into spirituality, but it helps me, definitely. That's one thing. And another thing, I do strongly believe in balance. Still, even though we all can work a lot, especially when it comes to our projects, when we have our, you know what I'm talking about. I know. It's for hours, no weekends, no evenings. You're just so preoccupied with what you want to do because you're excited about it. So you pour a lot of energy into it. And this is, you know, one of my main topics before at the university was stress management. And so this is called eustress, which is a positive stress, which goes on for a short while. It could be 4 weeks, you know, for a few weeks, usually no longer than that. So we are running like that, and we cannot even sleep because we're so excited. And this can happen, for example, if we are moving to another place, which you've kind of done recently, from what I remember. Or it could be something like you are moving to another country, or you're preparing for a wedding, or anything like that. So that makes you excited. So that's a eustress. But the thing is, if it goes on for too long, then it becomes kind of negative stress, and that affects all our things like cortisol and adrenaline and all the things that create imbalance in our body. Basically, we can get ill from that. So this is why I do believe that you need to take time off when you feel you need to. When you are depleting your energy, when you feel that you can't sleep, you feel that you're buzzing, but you're tired, you're getting more and more tired. this is when you need to feel it and you need to take time off. This is why I think it's really great if you find some hobby. Eventually, I found the hobby of diving, and I do whenever I can. Of course, not in every country I have opportunity to dive, but at least I go to the gym, or I go for a walk. I go to the sea when I have opportunity to do it. Anything like that can restore our energy is very important. And I found lately that basically anything to do with nature that can recharge us, anything with trees, parks, forests, sea, water, lakes, anything you can find not far from your house, or anything where you can get to somehow by bus or by train. It's so important to schedule into your life. It's incredible. And of course, finally, of course, you can get support from your friends and family again, because if you just interact with people who you feel they recharge you, that's important. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you for all of that. I love what you said about balance. And of course, I relate to balance because my, astrological sign is Libra. So we're always about balancing the scales. So I relate to that anyway, but I agree with you, because I have always been someone where when I'm enjoying what I do with work and I'm excited, I will almost work around the clock. I mean, I have to sleep, but it's like I'm always working. It's like, but you're right. We have to be able to have the balance to recharge ourselves, to show up differently. I think you brought this up in one of your courses, and I've heard this before, and I love this, but it's that saying that you got to put the oxygen mask on before you can really give it to somebody else. So if we don't recharge or regenerate who we are, then we're not really even giving the work or who we are the best anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So 100% on agreeing with that, and with everything that you said. But I love what you also talked about mindfulness, because not everybody thinks of spirituality as something that's important, and that's okay. If you're drawn to it, great. If you're not, in my perception and my truth, we're all spiritual beings living a physical experience. But again, that's what I resonate with. But I think mindfulness and awareness is so crucial, especially right now, because there's so much information all the time. Social media, the internet, the news, everything that's going on, that if we don't tune in to our inner knowing, if we don't build a relationship with that inner voice and center more from a place of neutrality, then we get stuck and triggered by those emotions, right? And sometimes I have to ask myself, is my mood and my emotion that I'm reacting to from me, from someone else, from society? Because you don't always know. We pick up things, right? Especially, I consider myself more empathic and sensitive. So I feel things. So I really have to balance myself and have to tune back in so I can continue to do the work that I desire and not allow it to, affect me negatively. So thank you for saying all of that. And I'd like to kind of loop it into, because I also know that you have studied and also teach and provide meditations through hypnotherapy. And I love what you do with that. It has helped me. I have had so many cool experiences with your guided hypnotherapy. And how were you led to that? Was it the same kind of journey of just opening up to it? How did you get involved with hypnotherapy?
I'm really glad it helped you.
It really did. It really
serves
did.
its purpose. That's the main thing. Basically, over time, I think I've been a psychologist through and through since my teenage years. I was always interested in how the mind works. And early on, I started learning how our subconscious works as well. And what I realized with time, really with years of practice and learning psychology and teaching psychology, is that when a person wants to change something in their life, and they say, this is it, from Monday, I'm going to start going to the gym, or I'm going to do this and that, and diet, and happy me, and I'm going to journal, I'm going to meditate. And a lot of things, they don't stick, because it's external things that the person is trying to change. But internally, he or she, they didn't change. And what can help is working directly with the subconscious. And this is why I became more and more interested in hypnotherapy, because I realized that if you're working directly through affirmations, through meditations, guided meditations, through hypnotherapy, through hypnosis, it works. It sinks into your mind. And the main proof for me, it was when I started doing it for myself. I went on hypnotherapy, various hypnotherapy sessions. And I remember one of the earlier ones was when I was at university. One of our students, he became a hypnotherapist in training. So he suggested to do hypnotherapy for me. And at that time, I was addicted to sugar.
Like many of us can be.
So I said to him, would it help me? And he said, well, like, we can try. I can write a script for you for sweets and sugar, and we'll see. So we've done this session. And the next day, I went to university to study and work. I was doing my master degree at the time. And I remember that time came in the afternoon, early afternoon, when normally I would reach out for coffee and some sugary thing like biscuits. And I remember that feeling where I crave something, but I don't know what. And I'm thinking, do you want a biscuit? Do you want a cookie? And I'm thinking, definitely not. I don't want anything sweet, but I feel like I want something. So like the craving for something that to feel that time, it kind of still there, which I would need to work with to feel it with something useful and healthier. But the craving for sugar is gone. I was so impressed. I've never had it in my life that I had that feeling that I really want something, but it's definitely not sugar. So that's where the first time I was really convinced that there is something about working with the subconscious. There is something about hypnotherapy. So, and then after that, I started using various hypnotherapy sessions for different things, for healthier mindset, for healthier lifestyle. And I went also past life regression therapy and things like that. I really became so interested into hypnotherapy. And the more I was doing it, also affirmations, doing them regularly every day, I could feel how they changed the way I think and the way I look at various things. I was convinced. And this is why I went to study hypnotherapy. And I've completed a whole training with one of the best hypnotherapists in the UK, Paul McKenna. But after that, I was thinking, what can I do so I could reach out to more people rather than working with one-to-one? I can do one-to-one, but that will be how many, 3-5 people a week? And I thought one of the best ways is to actually create some hypnotic meditations that will be working directly with the subconscious. However, I still would say that you would get more benefit if you're working one-to-one, because the hypnotherapist can tailor to you that script, whatever they're writing for you. Or, for example, if I work with a person one-to-one, then I would look at him and how he reacts to what I'm saying. Is he relaxed? Is he start fidgeting or frowning? Then I would change my pace, for example. I would change some words. So it would be more tailored. Saying that, even on a big scale, hypnotic meditations, affirmations, they work. It's just you need to find something that resonates with you, that you like the voice to hear, and then just listen to it at home as much as you can. Anything, the hypnotherapy can help you with anything like financial independence, financial freedom, success, just generally success in any area, and of course, healthy lifestyle and activity and whatever you can think of. It can help with so many things.
I love that. See, when I listen to multiple times, I've listened to it multiple times through one of your courses, it was around abundance, financial freedom, and being able to kind of reprogram your belief system around it. Because, money is such a hot topic anyway, and it has been throughout history, throughout time. And I think there's a lot of belief systems that are carried on ancestrally, right? So through our genes and our family and depending on where we come from, in the sense of, was someone persecuted? Was someone abused through it? And so I think a lot of people go into lack energy. And I know growing up, I do want to share this. Growing up, my father made very good money, but there was a lot of friction and chaos and, rage in my home. I'm just going to say that. And I've been working through it for years. That's why I'm helping other people now too. But what I had to realize was that my worth and value was not attached to the money, but that it was safe for me to open back up to realizing that even though there was money around me, that it didn't have to be negative. There didn't have to be anger attached or control or narcissism. And so your guided meditation through the hypnotherapy around that, I literally went into this place. It was like this gorgeous place. And I was sitting in our office, and in front of our place that we were living at the time, there was these flower, like boxes or whatever you want to call it. And I literally saw these trees, like topiary trees, coming up, like growing up through the ground. And then I saw money, individual money, like magnets going onto the trees, onto the home, onto me. And I was sobbing, but it was just breaking free. I was like, the tears were running down. And I just went, wow. So I just wanted to share that with you because it was like a breakthrough. It was a healing. It was a breakthrough. And of course, I know the repetition is so important. And I think for me, I had to open myself up. And like you said, it's not just saying affirmations every day. Those help, but it's being able to do all the little modalities to reprogram, right? To realign and create a new healthy belief system, I think.
That's an incredible story. Wow, it gave me goosebumps when you were saying about that.
I'm glad, but really, I'll never forget that at that moment. And that was back in May of this year.
This is very interesting because when you start saying that, I would say that many people had not very rich background. A lot of people were struggling with money. Their parents were struggling with money. And because of that, we have a lot of beliefs that money don't grow on the trees.
Right.
That it's very difficult to make money, that money can make you miserable, or happiness is not in money. There are so many negative beliefs, and they're so deeply ingrained with, like you said, with our ancestors, with our grandparents and great grandparents. It's very difficult to change them just like that. You cannot say like, oh, okay, I'll just change it, and from now on, I will think money equals to happiness. And prove me if I'm wrong. But the reality is you wake up the next day and then very quickly you are back to where you were.
Right.
Money is difficult to attain. Money doesn't mean happiness. Money can create problems. The more money you have, the more insecurity you might feel about how you're going to guard this money. The more you have, the more you need to guard them somehow. What's going to happen if all this money gone? And things like that. And this is very interesting because this is a progression of when you actually growing with money. And I mean, you're growing on a financial ladder. You started earning money, for example, you making business, and the more money coming in. And there are more things come up, like I just said, like how you're going to guard it when there is more money coming in. Maybe you should put into a different bank accounts or things like that things that you haven't thought before, and then suddenly you're confronted with more those beliefs, the deep-seated beliefs. So yeah, things like that. It's a work in itself. This is why I'm thinking like lately I start building my courses and my content around three things. It's a psychology, it's a spirituality, and it's a hypnotherapy. And I think three of them really work. Because psychology, you can start changing beliefs, right. Actually through, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy, where you change the way you think, you restructure your thing. For example, you have some negative belief, and then you ask, is there evidence for that? Is it true that I'm, for example, stupid or something like that? Is there evidence of that? No, actually, I was doing pretty good in school. So yeah, so maybe, this is how it works. Basically, the CBT is all about restructuring. And hypnotherapy is working directly with subconscious. And spirituality is about if you're open to the law of attraction and being on the high vibe, this all helps. So three of them, they're perfect. So I would encourage anybody to pay attention to all three pillars.
Yes, and that's why you got to go to Udemy and take one of your courses, the wave method. Ride the wave. Isn't that what it's
Indeed, it
called, right?
is.
The wave, right?
Yeah, yeah. The wave, that was the basically the outcome of what I believe that those three words.
Yes. And that was the course where I believe you offered this. And that's the thing. It's interesting because I do feel that it's exactly where we're on our journey at the time too. Like it's interesting that you said this because yes, many people will not have money growing up, but see in my home it was there, but I believed I wasn't safe though. It wasn't safe for me to make it on my own. I wasn't enough on my own to make it. See, I was due to cycles of abuse. This is not a blame game, but this happens in life. That's why I believe I'm breaking the cycle of abuse in my life from my grandfather, from my father, and wherever else it came down the line. It's that, especially in masculinity with males, being taught that the male is the one back, especially in the day. I'm not talking currently, but the male makes the money, the male's masculine, his worth and value is based on success, monetary success. So my father, as long as he was successful, then he felt worthy. But due to his abuse that he didn't face, clear up, realize, or take ownership for, it was, I make the money, it's not yours.
Right.
And then I didn't feel safe to do it. So for years, even though I came from money, I felt denied to be able to have it for myself. And so I had to break down all those belief systems and I had to do the work like you're talking about. So I think when I was led to you and I was invested in this and I'm doing it at all these years, I'm doing the inner work, it was like this pivotal point. And then I felt like a lot of it broke free through that guided hypnotherapy meditation through you. And I think things show up when they're meant to. That's the mindfulness. That's the awareness to listen to your intuition, to be led to where is the next stage of your growth, your healing, your evolution. And so anyone watching this, really, if you have a desire to learn more or to teach, to coach, to counsel, she's your girl. I really mean that. You have a way about you with your teaching. You, like you said earlier, you bring in all these elements. You bring in the psychology. You bring in the spirituality. You bring in research on both levels, and you connect the tools. And I think that is the full circle, because so many people might wake up in the morning and go, I am safe, I am love, I am worthy. And that is so important. But if you're not connecting it back or clearing out, then it could be surface too. But every little bit helps, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would also say that even that course, to be honest, I'm thinking it's very affordable.
It
I
is.
promoted
It
the
is.
course, and it's 7 hours of content.
Yeah.
I created it. I think I spent something like 3 or 4 months literally creating this course. Mm-hmm. And literally for anyone to try to, whoever wants to change the mindset, their life, because it starts with mindset anyway, and to change the circumstances and to be happier and to feel healthier and to feel that they are more successful or more freer, more confident in this life, this is who it's for.
Totally.
More courses to come.
Well, I feel like we could have many of these conversations, but I wanted to bring you on today to personally thank you, to share with more people about you, to have some of these important discussions, because in my truth, we're all in this together. Yes, we're individuals. We come from all different places across the world. We're raised differently. We're taught differently. But at the end of the day, we're all the same, really. We all come from the same place. And however we resonate or believe in that is up to us. But you're a living example of that. You were given another chance. You had this form of realization through your experiences, and now you're helping others through that, plus living a really adventurous life. And that's available to any of us if we choose to. But I do believe we have to do the work. We have to create the change and not be victims anymore to our past or our circumstances. But it takes courage. It takes time. It takes patience, dedication. And so I just want to thank you for being here today and for all that you do.
Thank you as well. But I just wanted to add is that whilst I'm traveling through different countries, and I've spent quite a lot of time in Mexico, and I've spent quite a lot of time in Egypt, and in Russia, and in Kazakhstan, and in England, and in some other countries, in Malaysia, in Vietnam, and everywhere I see people who have the same problems, the same. They all go to work. They all want to have a little bit more time off. They want to have families, if that's your thing, having children, getting married, or having successful career, looking after your friends and family, have really good social relationships with your friends. Everywhere, no matter where you are, it's the same thing. Like you said, we are all the same. We're all human beings. And the majority of us, apart from maybe some extreme personalities throughout history, majority of us, we want the same things. And our mind works in absolutely the same way. And like you said, yeah, it takes courage to make changes. The interesting thing is that in psychology, I forgot right now, like the name of researchers, but they found that our mind is more keen to think or to focus on negative than on positives. So whatever we're thinking about, like some situation that we want to change, our mind is finding more negatives, why it's not worth even going there, than the benefits that you probably will have if you do go there. This is incredible. We're programmed to think like that. Perhaps it's something to do with the safety, just to protect ourselves. And this is why we think, oh, better not to risk. I'm safer where I am. I got used to it. It works. Why change it?
Totally.
But if you just know that it's your mind who's trying to sabotage what you're trying to do, and if you just, again, being mindful and thinking, no, I'm gonna. This reminds me about one of the courses that I also teach, and this is one of the best sellers, I would say, for a reason. It's called Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. This is where Dr. Ross, Dr. Ross Harris, right? He was explaining that our mind is like, if you imagine a bus full of passengers, and your thoughts, they're like those passengers on the bus. So the passengers are trying to help the driver for whatever reason. And they're saying, hey, you should turn right. This is where I live. And another one saying, no, left. It's a much safer route here. And another saying something else. And another thought, or another passenger is quiet. And another passenger is screaming. And another passenger may be arguing. So what does the driver have to do? He has to ignore the passengers and focus on the route where they're going, where he's going, where the bus is going. So your mind and thoughts, they are like those passengers. If only, whereas the driver is your mind. You have a plan, you have goals, and you need to focus on them. And you need to ignore all those passengers that making this noise basically all the time. And this is where mindfulness helps. Right. And this is why in this ACT therapy, in acceptance commitment therapy, that's where they teach, make a plan, stick to it, ignore the passengers, ignore the thoughts, use mindfulness as much as you can, and just go with your plan. Because the chances are it will be worth it. The chances are it will change your life in a better way. But you do need to learn to ignore the passengers, the thoughts.
Oh, I love that, because what's so interesting about that is that can be literally your own little voices that are not the truth of who you are. So being, like we said earlier too, okay, is that me? Is that truly the authentic me? Or is that the past belief or the voices? Or is it all of the same thing with the outside of who we are? The people and their stories and what's occurring and happening. I love that. So the mindfulness is being able to determine, this is my path. I'm listening to the authentic part of who I am. And I don't have to listen anymore to the belief systems or people around me that are telling me otherwise.
Exactly.
I love how you describe that. Thank you.
Exactly.
That really makes it so easy to comprehend, because I think sometimes, even for myself, especially further in the past, when someone said, mindfulness, I'm like, what do you mean? So this is a good way to put it in our mind to understand what we mean about this. And I think, again, anyone watching or listening right now, every new day, every new moment is a chance to start again, to create a new choice for ourselves. And like you said, every day is a gift. So if we start to look at each new day in our own way as a new adventure to be better for ourselves, be kinder to ourselves, because as you know, if we're kind to ourselves first, if we start to clear up those beliefs that don't serve us, that are holding us back, then we're able to give more to others anyway. That's the balance too. It's
Absolutely.
right. And I think that's what's beautiful. And like you said, being able to reach and connect with people all over the world online, that is a really awesome benefit to being in such a high technical world now, an online world. I think sometimes people get confused by it or feel alone by it, but we really can all connect and we can all learn from each other. And
In
I
the
think
end of the
that's,
day, internet is what you make out of it.
yes.
You can feel lonely when you're scrolling through different pages and thinking that a lot of people live better than you do. Or you can take the opportunity to learn so many things. Like, for example, with this new chat GPT, right? You can find so much information at your fingertips. You can
Totally.
learn language. You can, I don't know, you can learn anything you want. You can restructure your life. So we have tools. It's just, I don't think we grasp them yet really well, but
Right.
they're there. So it's how you use it. And like we were saying, back to thoughts and thinking, I think thoughts, they are so based on our programming that's been happening from our childhood. Most
Yes.
of our thoughts, they're literally just these programmed beliefs that they're automatic. They are automatic. They're stored in our subconscious. And when you meditate, for example, if you are into meditation, regular meditation,
I am, yeah.
at some point you feel that the thoughts are slowing down more and more, and eventually it's just calm. And they
Yes.
hardly pop up anymore. That's it. And then sometimes you might get even insight into your work or whatever you're doing, some interesting insight. This is if you are into spirituality, then you might say that you're connecting with your higher self, you're getting
Right.
some insights from it. But this is all these programmed thoughts that eventually they're going to sleep. So this is another thing that I would highly encourage anyone to try meditation, to learn about how to do meditation, even if it takes 5-10 minutes, or start from there and then make it as a regular practice if you can. There are so many different ways to do it nowadays and techniques.
Yeah.
So just find what works. Even if it's a guided meditation, that's fine. Anything that would help to calm those thoughts, that would be really helpful.
I agree with you. And what I love, what you just said, that there are many ways to meditate. I think some people think, at least I did, in the beginning, was I'm just supposed to sit here quiet and all the thoughts are racing, right? And because you're not at skill, you're not in the place yet where you're in control of it. Your mind's in control, right? And so
Yeah.
when you start to meditate more, then you learn to realize, just like what you talked about earlier, you realize that these thoughts, a lot of them aren't even yours, or they're just belief system that you were taught or ideas. So you start to recognize it. But for me, I love the guided meditations, but nature for me, if I can go out in nature, I love trees. I love just being out and feeling the peace and feeling the energy of creation. And that centers me. And then I'll put on some of my favorite, like, instrumental music that kind of raises that for me. And that's how I truly connect. So you could be in nature, you could be, there's many ways. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. I just
It is
think
beautiful.
there's so much that we can all experience now, and there's so much available, and we're not trapped. We're not victims unless we choose to stay victimized. And I know that there are certain people right now that are going through very hard times. And I'm not saying that it's easy, and I'm not saying that what you're going through isn't justified, but we are in choice, and we're the ones that can set ourselves free. It takes work, but if we look at it like you said, it's exciting to learn, to grow, to experience, to share, and to become the most authentic part of who we are. I think that's where the joy comes from. I think then the joy is available because we are freeing, we're authentically being true to who we are. So I just want to thank you. This has been amazing. And
thank you for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure to talk about all this. This is our favorite topics.
And I knew it would be. I already knew that, because I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm like a fan of yours.
Thank you. I'm grateful for fans like you. I am.
Yeah, I just really appreciate you. You've helped me so much, and I know you're going to help so many more. But I want to celebrate you right now. Just because you're helping a lot of other people, I want to celebrate you for doing the work. I want to celebrate you for the choices that you've made and how you took your near-death experience as your own awakening, in a way, your own realization. And it happens differently for everybody, but I'm just glad that you chose to make the best life you could for yourself. And of course, it's a journey. We're all on this journey,
Absolutely. And you are in the position of helping to so many people through the work that you're doing, through coaching that you've been doing, through finding your feet in how else you can help, to whom, in the best possible way for you. And these podcasts, they are incredible because you can also reach out to so many people. And if we can help and inspire a little bit, even a little bit, to so many people, even if it's 2, 5 people, I'm sure it will be more, but this is our work. This is how work is done. This is what it's all about, to inspire, to motivate, to support.
Yes, thank you. And one person at a time. I know it's easy sometimes. I know I've faced this or struggled through it. I'm pretty good about it now, but for a while, especially when YouTube first became really popular and Facebook, Instagram, I used to look at how many views do I have? How many subscribers do I have? How many likes do I have? And of course, that's important if you're looking at it from a place of wanting to reach more people, or it's your income, or it's a way to, to make money. I understand. But it's really one person at a time, because one person, any of us, can change the world within our own world. We can help create it being better within our circle, and then it ripples out from there. And that's what we have to remember. Yes, it's wonderful to have millions of views, of course, because you're reaching even more people. But every person's valuable. So if we start to go, oh, I only have 100 views, well, then you're basically saying those 100 people don't matter. Everyone matters. Everybody. Exactly. And those 100 people that watched it, or let's say 80 people that watched it again, or however it works, if they're encouraged or inspired, then they share.
Exactly.
And
like you said, it's ripple effect.
Yes. So here's to ripple effects. Here's to adventure. Here's to growth. And I can't wait to continue to connect with you. And hopefully one day, I'm going to set this out publicly right now. We're going to manifest it. I'd love to do some type of workshop or retreat with you and others, and bring people together, maybe in person this time, or in person and online. We could do things online for people that couldn't make it in person.
Sounds fantastic. So I'm up for it.
I'm going to set the intention.
Excellent. Of course. Yeah, that would be great.
Well, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been my pleasure.
Much love. Mwah.
To you too.